Hello, Salam Halei Shoma Shatareh. I'm Congressman Don Bacon of Nebraska. Today I want to share a message with the Iranian people. To those who live in Iran and to the many thousands of Iranians who live abroad, including right here in the United States. The American people stand in solidarity with the Iranian people who today live under an oppressive regime. I share your desire for freedom and your basic human right to peacefully disagree with your government without fear of harm or imprisonment. I also wish to extend my heartfelt sympathy and compassion for those who have lost a loved one in the recent violence or have been forced to flee your home out of fear. Unfortunately, Iran continues to brutally repress its own citizens. Since 2017, the Iranian government has met peaceful protests in hundreds of cities across Iran with lethal force. Since these protests began, thousands of Iranian citizens have been killed or injured by Iranian security forces. In the 116th Congress, the House of Representatives passed House Resolution 752, which affirmed the rights of the people of Iran to free expression and condemning the Iranian regime for its crackdown on legitimate protests. This bill urged the United States administration to engage the United Nations Security Council and our international partners and allies to condemn the ongoing human rights crisis being perpetrated by the Iranian regime, and to establish a mechanism by which the United Nations can monitor and call attention to Iran's brutal and unlawful repression of its people. Unfortunately, since the House of Representatives passed this resolution a year ago, the human rights situation in Iran has continued to decline. According to the September 2020 Amnesty International report, we have learned that detained protesters were subjected to widespread torture, including beatings, floggings, electrical shock, mock executions, waterboarding, and sexual violence. And just a few days ago, the world was shocked to learn that a senior Iranian diplomat was convicted by a Belgian court for conspiracy to commit a murder in connection with the planned terror plot in Paris. This terror plot targeted Iranian dissidents in the heart of Europe and serves as a stark reminder that the Iranian regime is a threat to the entire world, not just its own citizens. The Iranian regime remains the world's top exporter of terror and simply cannot be allowed to continue brutalizing its own people and terrorizing others without penalty or consequence. For this reason, I will soon be joining my colleagues in the House of Representatives in introducing a new resolution condemning the actions of the Iranian regime. I look forward to swift bipartisan passage of this resolution in the House in the weeks ahead. In recognition of the persistent international threat posed by the Iranian regime, last week I also introduced the Iranian Arms Transfer Prevention Act of 2021, a new bill that seeks to reimpose the long-standing international arms embargo on Iran that United Nations allowed to lapse last year. While there may be differences in opinion on how best to contain Iran's nuclear ambitions, one thing we can all agree on is that countries like Russia and China should not be selling weapons and dangerous technologies to the world's top exporter of terror. In closing, I want to reemphasize that I stand by you, the noble and virtuous Iranian people, in your quest for freedom and human dignity. In America, we believe freedom and liberty are granted by God, and that government exists to protect and defend these freedoms. I will continue to be a voice for freedom in Iran and support a peaceful transition of power that will one day give you the government that you deserve. Thank you, and Koda Hafez.